Hey YouTube, today we're going to watch some replays in the process of answering an interesting question that was asked by the Bot Pops on Twitter. He asked, who do you think are the 3 best ones Rocket League players right now? Now, I decided not to respond on Twitter and instead give him a whole video and talk about who are the best players, who do we think are the best players, what makes the best ones players, because it's obvious in RLCS, there is no way you can consider any other tournament the most important tournament in 3v3. And so winning the most recent events is what determines the best teams at the time. Right now, the best team in the world is definitely Moxie Esports, as Jack gets bumped by Daniel into getting scored on. But who is the best player in ones? Because we don't get tournaments as frequently or even show matches as frequently. Is it the player who's highest on the leaderboard? Is it the player who performs best in show matches? Is it only the players who had the best finish in the most recent tournament? Well, it's hard to know because not everybody plays every tournament. So I'm going to talk about what I think makes the best ones player as well as who they are. Now, I'm going to start with the most obvious one, and you guys probably have already recognized that we're watching from apparently Jack's perspective. This is actually a game we did recently, but I wanted to watch it again from Jack's perspective while talking about why he's one of the 3 best ones players in the games, because this is one of the more impressive games. We actually went back on stream and watched some of his saves as well. I don't think it made it into the YouTube video, so we'll do it again here. And he even commented on some of his thought process on certain plays, so I'll let you guys know what he was saying to us in chat. But what makes the best ones player? It's hard to know. During this long year of RLCS, it's actually probably been one of the hardest times because normally there's bigger gaps in between events where you can get different chances to compare players. That's a great shot from Daniel. But we haven't really had that a lot recently. We were able to get the Swamp tournament that I ran, which included a good amount of players, but it didn't include the 2 players you see in this game right now. Daniel and the rest of Space Station went to LAN early and were unable to play, and so was Jack and Jorias and some of these other guys who are considered top. Now, Moxie had a great performance in that one, and you should still credit him for it, but that's a good example of a pretty big tournament if you ask me. Of course, I'm a little bit biased, but still couldn't have every participant. And I think we haven't had a tournament like that with every single participant in a totally fair format in a really long time. So while tournaments are important, I think just as important, or almost most important, are show match performances. You need to be able to clutch out show match performances, prize pool or not, because that is what we are left with here in the Rocket League scene. And that on top of ranked. Ranked is one of the only leaderboards that I think truly can define the best players. The 3s leaderboard definitely doesn't define the best 3s leaderboard. I guess 2s as well. 2s leaderboards probably have a good indication of who the best 2s players are, but I would say not as directly correlative as the 1s leaderboard is. So Jack, he is known to dominate the 1s leaderboard for the longest time. We're lucky to get content from him, YouTube videos daily in which he is frequently playing 1s. And on top of that, he has had an immaculate show match record as of late. When he's been playing the game, he's been winning the game. And I think the only thing to go against Jack at all is that he has had, not tournament victories. I don't know how to put it. Not bad tournament performances. But I want to say when I went back looking through a ton of the big tournaments, trying to see all the best placements for apparently Jack, there was a ton of second places instead of first, which the players have even selected apparently Jack as the best player in ones. So everybody seems to agree. Apparently Jack, very talented, very committed to the game mode, and is the best player in the game. And hopefully there'll be an opportunity, nice quick off the wall, for Jack to show that and get a tournament first finish. In fact, guys, I know you know in the comments way more than me. Remind me, what Jack tournament wins, big tournament wins have there been that I forgot about, because that is important for me to know. But either way, nobody who is making a list, I think, can reasonably have Jack not on it. This is one of the crazy saves that we talked about. I think we've actually might have had the other save pass by while I was chatting, but we'll find it again if that's the case. But this is an incredible save. The pre-jump, and then Daniel actually gets a great touch away from where Jack is, and he half flips out of the save. It's just beautiful. Beautiful save from Jack. Let me get back to his perspective. But this was at the end of the Jack-Daniel show match. If you guys haven't seen that, make sure you go check that out, because it was a very good one. There's been a lot of good show matches this weekend because everybody's prepping for this Saudi land. So I think apparently Jack, he is currently the face of ones, and for good reason. One of the smartest ones players in the game, and has everything else to go with it as well, including this air dribble reset. Wait, maybe not this air dribble reset. But I some of the responses on Twitter actually didn't have apparently Jack in them, which I truly didn't understand. There were some other hot takes on Twitter. For example, the poster of the original question, the Bot Pops, says he has Nupo in his top 3 list, which I think is an interesting decision. You'll have to wait and see who I have in the final 2 as the video goes on, but we will let this game come to an end here as Jack looks to kill some time. Daniel doesn't have a chance. You know what? Instead of watching this last 10 seconds, let's go really quick, find that save I want to talk about, and then we'll go to the next person. All right, here it is. Here's the save we talked about on stream. I think it passed by really quick when we were chatting about what makes apparently Jack so good. But we're going to watch it now. Daniel, high into the air. Jack says he does this very frequently. He goes up the wall to kind of show, that he's threatening high, that he's going to make a potential save high, but then turns his car intentionally downwards, like right here, saying, look, I'm going to go back down to the ground and recover so that you can shoot it. Like, basically, he's showing that going over the top of him will work. He's about to go to the ground. If you use the reset and go over the top of him, you will score. And he's trying to show Daniel that that's the case. And then, right after showing that, turns back up in the wall and jumps off for the reset, assuming it's going to come, and the ball gets slammed right into him. Jack says he tries to do this as much as possible with people coming for resets off the wall like that. He didn't get the nasty pinch on the rebound, but I was slightly distracted before. I wanted to show you guys that play because it was one that Jack specifically talked about, and he just was absolutely shutting down Daniel's aerial game all series long. But let's move to number 2. One of the 2-3 players that I think are the best in ones. Another one of the top 3 players on my list. We have got a game of this player playing ranked recently. A player that almost never plays ranked as far as I'm aware. But if you guys remember, Main David 01 actually played in some tournaments and performed well in the past. I think he said he is older than the average Rocket League crowd, and so is going to have availability to play as often as some of these other guys. But the reason why I'm putting this player, I wonder if you guys could tell who it is already just by watching him for a little bit, in the top 3 is because he is just the most clutch performer in tournament performances. We talked about, the ranked leaderboard and how it is part of it. This player has nothing to do with the ranked leaderboard and everything to do with winning tournaments when he's involved and winning show matches. This is, of course, Jorias, Jack's teammate Jorias. I'm going to have Jorias in the top 3 as well. They have been in the top 3 for a long time. I think over the years, Jack and Jorias have never really left the conversation, and based on recent performances, there's no reason to have them leave yet. They are still maybe the best duo in all of Rocket League Ones. And they represent kind of the 2 different styles of ones, I would say, that are so dominant. Jack is, the pure brains of one's IQ, whereas Jorias is a shift more towards the mechanical ability and just, the outplays with movement and creativity. As he gets another 50 on the goal line with Main David. The only blemishes on Jorias' record is he's actually had a couple different matches on my stream. I'm not sure if he's had any losses on Johnny's stream or anybody else's in recent memory, but against KV1, Jorias cannot seem to get the win. Now, he has had to play on USC servers when he plays against KV1, And both times, he has not won a single game. KV1 swept him twice. Now, maybe Joreus' playstyle is just not accustomed to having to play on USCs. Not to mention that Joreus does get some of the worst ping, I would say, in EU. You know, the UK guys can get under 100. I think Joreus' best servers are probably 105, and usually he's getting like 120. So he has a tough time, especially against somebody like KV1 who's very used to that high ping. But he also had a tough time with Drowley. If you guys remember when Drowley was peaking at Fearfest 1, when he was dominating everybody, Drowley plays in a very similar Joreus style. He actually got swept by Drowley as well. But in that game, I think Drowley was both on fire and had, you know, a ton to fight for. And Joreus, you know, he has always been able to bounce back, whereas we have not seen much from Drowley recently. And that is one of the most impressive things about Joreus. I'll use this time to talk about it. I don't know if I've ever talked about it in a YouTube video, or I think I mentioned it on Twitch at least a couple times, but I think one of the most impressive things, one of the nicest things about Joreus in one's game, and being one of the top players, is that he doesn't back down, and he doesn't ever give up from matchups. He loses on occasion. He's unafraid to lose, and I think that's one of the reasons why he continues to get better and he continues to push the ones game, because, you know, sometimes that's rare, especially from players who don't grind maybe one's ranked as much, maybe don't seem to, you know, enjoy it in that kind of level. Sometimes they'll back off the ones game. Joreus never has. Even when he takes losses, he comes back and ends up being even better. And that is what makes him one of the best. Right now, he can't get any resets past Main David. Oh, Main David's got the style on him. Oh, yeah, no pre-jump. Hey, Main David. Maybe we need to stop talking about Main David being one of the top 3 players. But Joreus has, I think, one of the most prestigious wins. We talked about important tournaments and the fact that, you know, maybe Jack hasn't gotten as many first places. Joreus has. I think Salt Mine 2, Joreus was the winner, and Salt Mine 2 is probably the most prestigious ones tournament ever created, if you ask me. Since then, we've had, I think, Fusion, which Fairy won, and we haven't really seen tons of ones-focused huge tournaments. We've had to have like Smug, which are basically just show match based, and other show matches around the scene. You know, we've had some tournaments run by me. He did win in the was it Fearfest 2, the EU part of Fearfest 2. Joreus did win that. Oh, nice cut. That was a creative shot. He just missed wide. But just very, very long-term, consistent. He's been at the top, and he continues to prove that he has not fallen from the top. Great flick. I would encourage you to check out his recent show match on my stream against AJ, if you haven't, to give you a good idea of what it's like to watch Joreus play. If you've never heard of him, I can't imagine why that'd be the case. But this is also an example of what he can do as he dribbles it all the way from the back wall and gets a reset. There's a certain kind of game that happens whenever Joreus is in a match, and it just makes it one of the most exciting ones to watch. Oh, he just absolutely dumped the crap out of Main David here. But I tell you what, Joreus ends up taking this game. I think there's one more goal. I will let you see it. We'll find it here. Oh, it's a nice save. In fact, Joreus might be about to get it here. Oh, yeah, he just takes it off the wall to double it in. There it is. That's the end of the game. Main David ends up forfeiting. Or he actually might play. No, yeah, he does forfeit. All right. We will head to the final person that I believe is in the top 3. The final player that I want to put in the top 3 of current 1v1ers, I will not reveal just yet. We are, of course, watching from this player's perspective. But first, I want to give a couple honorable mentions of the players I think are worth noting that aren't going to be included in the list. The first of which is First Killer. Maybe you guys were all expecting the North American YouTuber who watches 1v1 to include First Killer, but I don't think we have seen enough from him in international play to consider him a top 3 player. He has dominated North America every time he's ever played. Sometimes he kind of takes matches off in situations when he could be playing. I'm mostly just referring to the recent crew battles in which he didn't play once for his team, even though every time he's ever played in tournaments, he has obviously been the best ones player in all of North America. Pretty unmatched, so there would be no reason not to have him play for his team, even though they do have AJ, who is close to as good. And because, before these recent events, First Killer had a huge hiatus from the ones game, and so it's hard to know. Will his ones game translate to international play? Will he be one of the best players if we have an opportunity to see him against everybody again? Likely, but I don't think I can put him here as one of the best, as just a slight absentee from the game. So the other player that I would actually like to give credit to is a player who has tough time with high ping, but has done very well when getting his opportunities against best players, and that is KV1. I think there's a chance that KV1 could be one of the best ones players in the game, but it's hard to know. Every one of his games on US East against players who have to play there on a away server all have some asterisks about whether or not he's only winning because he's taking people to an uncomfortable server, or can he just win straight up? Now, I think one of his best results was playing Moxie on LAN in France and sweeping him there. Now, showing that he can take some of the best players on even ping. It's not just him taking advantage of the 120. So we'll see if he can ever do more of that. He's going to be in Dallas, and we'll probably get an opportunity to get him against some other top ones players who are coming into Dallas for Worlds. All of Dig is coming in. All of North America will already be in on US ping. So hopefully we'll get to test KV1. But the player that I think is actually number 3 right now is surprisingly not a Middle Eastern player. I'm skipping out on including any Middle Eastern players, which I know is probably going to be controversial, but I'm going to have Moxie. I'm going to have Moxie at number 3. I think the Middle Eastern players who are playing the best, Khaled, TRK, maybe Rawas, Fahad. I know some people included Nupo. I don't think Nupo has performed against the top players well enough to be considered in the top 3. He is a good ones player, but I don't think he's ready to compete against the best of the best ones IQ players. So I think Khaled, the rest of the Middle East suggests that TRK is the best in ones. I don't think we've seen those kind of results to verify that, really. So you have to shift towards Khaled or maybe Fahad, who gets tournament wins, as the best ones player from that region. But Khaled has been not dominating in his show matches like he is used to, and this guy we're watching now has kind of been doing that domination. Moxie has just been one of the best ones players in the past few months. Fahad, another guy which hasn't really played ones recently. He won the Fear Fest 2, which was a very big tournament win, but we haven't really seen much from him since then, and not enough to place him over Moxie. Moxie has been grinding ones. As you guys know, he recently went all the way from unranked to rank 1 in one stream, as well as winning the King of the Hill event that I did recently, which isn't necessarily a huge ones accolade, but definitely impressive, shows you his level of grind, and has just been playing great in all show matches. And I think it's just time to start talking about Moxie being top 3 and pushing towards top 1. I think Moxie is on track to maybe take over as the best ones player. He is a young gun, 15 years old. I believe he's still 15. He might have turned 16 recently. Nice cut dribble. You got him playing against Loreley here in ranked. But he has upped the game in ones, and the fact that every other player who had played ones is either using it to get big in threes or get big in RLCS and then maybe falling off of it, or are just a player that is already big in RLCS, so ultimately has no choice but to focus on that for the majority of their gameplay. But it's not the case with Moxie. He has always focused on ones from the very beginning. He makes ones content, streams ones, and has not really made any serious attempts at RLCS or qualifying for it. And while he recently said on Johnny's stream that he actually is interested in potentially playing. He just needs to maybe find a team that he likes to play with. For now, he is focused completely on ones. And that is something that the one scene has basically never gotten in its entirety of its existence as a player who only cares about ones and is the best player in it. There's players who only care about ones, but that's partially because they might not be talented enough for RLCS. I don't think anyone thinks that's the case with Moxie. Moxie is such a talented player. I would assume he could compete at any level of this game. But he is kind to us ones fans and has given us tons of one focus and grind like no other player has. So that's it. That's who I have. I have Appjack, Joreas, who have been 2 out of 3 for the longest time. I would say the top 3 have been Appjack, Joreas, Khaled since, you know, it feels like forever since those guys started dominating in the tournaments. But because of Khaled's recent struggles, I think his recent focus on 3v3 a little bit over 1v1, I want to say Moxie is moving in to take over. Moxie, that means I have a top 3 all from Europe. I know, I'm crazy. What am I doing? The Middle East region is very solid in ones, and I think they still are the second best region as far as 1v1 goes. But the current peak seems to be held by the EU guys, by Moxie, by Jack, by Joreas. How crazy am I, chat? Oh, chat, there's no chat here. It's YouTube. YouTube comments, how crazy am I? I know you guys are going to think I'm very crazy. So let me hear it.